Good evening, PA Figs here. So we are going to be making a Frangipane tart today out of, well, not out of, but with figs in addition to it. So let's get started. First thing, a cup of flour. Next is 2 tablespoons of sugar. Then a pinch of salt. My wife actually has a measuring spoon. Let's see if you can see what it says. Just for the engineers in us, as we are both engineers and have to measure everything. Oh, it won't focus. Let's see. There you go. You can see there is actually such a thing as a measuring cup the size of a pinch. Let's go ahead and put that in. Alright, pinch of salt. I need a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And there's a seed that I have to get out. One thing I hate about lemons, seems no matter how hard you try, put them in your water, put them anywhere, oh jeez, you always get the seed, and it is a pain in the butt. Alright, seed out. We have our seedless lemon juice. Now I need to get the butter. Alright, and your butter you want as cold as possible, so I actually had the butter in the freezer, unsalted, and you want to make sure your butter's fresh. If you've got your butter in the freezer for a real long time, it tends to take on a bit of a freezer taste to it. Alright, so I gotta be quick with the butter. Get it and just, I need 6 tablespoons. So, that is 3/4 of a stick of butter cut into small squares. Alright. And then, lastly, 1 large egg. Alright. Put the top on here, and this will be our dough for the Frangipane. It's really just a tart. Alright. Now you just want to mix this until the dough ball forms. You don't want to overbeat it, overmix it. And if you don't get the dough ball to form, a little bit of water. And it looks like I'm going to need a little bit of water. My lovely assistant is going to get a little water for us. Alright. A little cold water will help get this ball to form. There's our ball. We're going to take some saran wrap. And we're going to wrap this ball up, and it's going to go into the fridge for at least an hour. I'm just going to put a little extra in here. Okay. Form the saran wrap around the ball nice and tight. I am destroying the saran wrap. Just me or the saran wrap only seem to stick to the things you don't want it to stick to. Alright. So there is our dough ball, and I'm going to pop that into the fridge for at least an hour. Alright, so we got our dough ball out of the fridge. It's nice and solid. Now we need to roll it out. Floured surface. And I need to roll it out so that it fits over top of this tart pan. Now I will warn you, I am terrible at rolling dough. Normally I have my wife Teresa do it, but let's give it a go here and see what happens. As you can see, not doing such a great job. Alright, let me get this thing rolled out and I'll be back. Okay, so I have the tart pastry laid out. Now I need to get it onto my tart pan. It is sticking. Not good. I think I didn't have enough flour down the end here. Or maybe any flour. Boy, it is sticking like crazy, actually. Not good. May have to start this over. Yep, I'm gonna start this over.
Maybe getting too long.
Alright, try number 2. Let's see how it comes up this time. Much better. Just not enough flour last time. Alright, so now I just need to fix my edges a little bit. Alright, not bad. Alright, now I need to get a piece of aluminum foil. I don't have any beans, I don't think, to fill this with. I'm looking at my wife here to see if maybe we have some beans to fill this with to help hold the crust down, so you don't want it blowing up like a donut. Alright, so first, piece of aluminum foil over top. Oh, I forgot one step. I need to get a fork. Alright, I forgot to poke holes into the tart bottom. That'll help to make sure it doesn't puff up. I am not, by any means or any stretch of the imagination, an expert baker, but we're trying to have fun. Alright, in goes the aluminum foil. And let me go see if we have beans. Alright, we found something. Let's see what we got in here to use as a baking weight. Rice. Okay. All that's going to do is add a little bit of weight to keep that crust from rising up. Okay, now we need to pop this into the oven at 400 degrees. Okay, so into the oven for 10 minutes at 400 degrees, and that will set the dough. Okay, while the shell of the tart sets in the oven, we're going to start with the filling. So first things first is a half a stick of softened butter and a quarter cup of sugar. And we're going to whisk that until it's light and fluffy. Alright, I'll be back when that's done. Okay, our butter and sugar is combined, and now I need an egg yolk, and I need to save the egg white for later. Okay, there's the yolk. Put the white aside. I'm just going to stir this in. Okay. Now to add the dry ingredients, I need to add 1.5 tablespoons of flour, I'm going to add a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg, and a half cup of almond meal. Alright, we're going to combine that and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so our tart is set, the tart shell is set, and now I just need to remove this tin foil and weight from the tart. Alright, and there's the set tart. Now we're going to pop it back in the oven at 350 for another 10 minutes. And you know, the one thing I did forget to do is you're not supposed to take off the edges of the tart until after you set it. And I completely forgot and took the edges off beforehand. You can see it shrunk. So it's going to be a little bit of a lopsided tart, but well, live and learn. Alright, back in the oven for 10 more minutes, 350. Okay, so the next step in the filling is to take that egg white that you had from earlier, and we are going to whisk that all the way until it gets firm white peaks, basically making a meringue. So let's get this started. And we'll get that going and I'll be back. Alright, so the egg is starting to set up. Still got a ways to go, gotta get it nice and thick. Okay, so we are getting our stiff white peaks. So this is going to be done, and I think our tart shell is ready to come out of the oven. Alright, and there's our tart shell. You can see it's not so pretty. I tried to patch it up, but you know, once you put the yummies in, it will hopefully taste good at least. I am not going to make a living as a pastry chef. Alright, now to finish up the filling, I need to mix these two guys together. The egg whites and the almond and flour, sugar, and butter mixture. So I'm actually going to get a different attachment, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I am going to start spooning my mixtures together. And so this is the Frangipane filling. Basically an almond-based almost like a custard. Alright, you don't need to watch me spoon all this in, so I'll be back once I got it in there. Okay, so we've got this all mixed together. And hopefully you can see it, but there's our Frangipane. Now we need to add it to the tart. Alright, so normally I'd like to do this with fresh figs, but it's not fig season yet. So I've got some figs frozen from last season, Brogiotto Neros, that I cut in half. Defrosted, cut in half, and now I'm going to put on top of the tart. Now, I will say, the tart, I had to double the recipe that I had found online in order to make this. So, if you're watching this video trying to follow the recipe, make sure you double it. Because there's no way a single part of that recipe for the filling is gonna do. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these figs on the tart. Put as many as you want in. I'm kind of randomly putting them here. This is just how many I had. I wanted to make it one more tart, so I used half on what I had already made, so this is how many I ended up with. You know, a lot of the ones that I've seen, they use very few figs, maybe 3 or 4 at the most. But if you got them, why not flaunt them? I could have arranged this to look a lot prettier, but it's getting late tonight. And at this point, I just kind of want to get this done. So it's going to be just like that. Okay, so now we're going to pop this in the oven for another 10 minutes at 375 degrees. Alright, well, here is the finished product. Not bad for my first time. I've got another one going right now. I just rolled out the shell, and you know, practice makes perfect. So this one, yeah, the shell is pretty rough, and the filling needed to be doubled. I don't know why the recipe only called for as much filling as it did. You can see it doesn't really puff up at all, but it came out pretty good. So I'm going to bring this to the Fig Fest that I'm going to tomorrow and share with a whole bunch of fig friends. On PA Figs, actually, you know what? I might even show you guys the second one, if it came out better, hopefully. Alright, stand by. Okay, so the second one came out much nicer. You can see the crust. I extended it and left it over. I could trim it a little bit, but it came out looking pretty good, I think. I'm going to let it cool on this rack overnight, and then tomorrow bring it to the Fig Fest. But yeah, looks like it came out pretty good. Fig Frangipane. I'm looking forward to trying it tomorrow.